at you with another, well, not a game. I don't have a game here, but I wanted to do this final part of this lecture on just the sidelines that you might need to know um, in the game, and I'll show you what I'm talking about after e4, e5, bishop c4, knight f6, and d4 here. First of all, while taking on d4 is going to be the main move, but knight takes e4 is a move that you might see a little bit at the lower levels, but here it's easy to get an advantage after d takes. And for one example, bishop c5, you're going to meet this with queen d5 here. You can see you're threatening mate. Yes, black is threatening this, but you just move the king, and really there's no better way to stop the threat here besides castling. Once that happens, then the knight will drop off, and of course black can't win a piece because you just take on past a, so you're just going to have a better position there. And so after they take the pawn, knight f3, here's where there's really a lot of sidelines, because I would say about half the time you're going to see this. You're going to see knight takes on e4, but the other half of the time you're going to play some sideline. I want to look first at bishop b4 check, because this actually comes up a lot, and it'll come up a lot whether you're playing on chess.com or Elite Chess or whatever platform. A bishop b4 check, you want to go c3, d takes on c3, for example, take with the pawn, and now if bishop c5, first let's look at bishop a5. Well, it's bad because of e5, and now if queen e7, for example, because there's no good square to move the knight to anyway. You just go bishop a3 and you hit that queen, and you can see black is going to lose material there. So bishop c5, they kind of have to play that, but now we go e5 anyway, and now after d5 we just go with it. We take on f6, and after d takes c4, queen takes d8 check, king takes on d8, and f takes on g7. You can see that white is going to be better here. Maybe something like this. You can give this check, or you may be able to defend your pass pawn here. You're easily going to get your king castled, and you're going to have a little bit of an advantage there as well. So besides bishop b4 check, I also wanted to look at d5. d5 is going to be another move that will come up from time to time, and you want to just take that pawn. For example, bishop b4 check. Again, you meet this with c3. If they go queen e7 check, you just block with the bishop, and when they take on c3, you take the knight this time. And now after castle, for example, both sides get their pieces developed. Bishop takes on c3, b takes c3. This was actually a correspondence game that was played in this line. Queen c5 was played here, c4, b6, knight d4 here, knight e4, so he decides to attack white's bishop, then he moves back to e3, so x-raying this queen. And now knight c3 hits white's queen. Queen c2 was played, and knight takes e2 check. So queen takes e2, queen e7, whoops, and then kind of an odd sequence of events. After queen e7, knight c6 hits black's queen, and queen goes back to d6. So a little questionable. Maybe not the best moves, but bishop d4, bishop b7, knight e7 check. Now it's starting to look like a real strong position for white after bishop takes on g7 check, king takes g7, knight f5. The whole point, right? So you sacrifice a bishop, but you get a queen back. All right, so going back to move 4 here. So we already looked at bishop b4 check. We looked at d5 here. Let's look at c5, another sideline. So black is just trying to hold on to some material here before taking more material, right? So queen e2 is the best move here, just defending the pawn. And after d6, e5. So just pushing right down the center. Takes on e5 here, knight takes e5. Bishop e6. Black really had to block the e file somehow. But now the surprising move, knight takes f7. And here, you see, you can't take with the king because now this is really strong, so can't take with the bishop either because of this pin. So now queen e7 was played, queen takes e6, and you can already see white has an advantage. Even if the queens get traded off, the presence of these two pieces here, the king that's still in the center and very weak, so white's all good there. Alright, so going back to move 4 here, knight c6 is another way that black could try to play. But here, this would just transpose to a 2 knights defense, where you would have the white side of a Scotch Gambit in essence. And the only other reasonable move that could probably be tried here, I would say, is bishop c5. And here we just want to castle. And after knight goes to c6, for example, we go e5. And this is a max ling attack position that we're gonna study in another 4-part series at some later date. And this will really be the next thing that this will probably be the next variation that we'll study. But so just be prepared for all these sidelines. Just realize that and by the way, another move order that could be used is just this. There's lots of different ways to play here, and for example, something like this could be played too. This is kind of outside of what we really wanted to talk about in this video, but this is just giving you a sneak peek of what's coming next. Thanks.